Did Peter McKinnon single-handedly destroy photography vlogs on YouTube? Did he just come along and do them so perfectly that nobody else stood a chance? Or were they a dying art form already and he was just the final nail in the coffin? That's what I want to talk about today. You may remember in 2015 or 2016, photography vlogs were just starting to really take off. You had people like Heaton Jessica Kobeissi, my friend Julia Trotti, all starting on YouTube and starting to create vlogs that were raw, that were real, that were documenting the behind the scenes of them working as a photographer out in the real world. And then Peter McKinnon comes along, 2016, completely changes the game for what a photography vlog is, turns it into something that has to be cinematic, that has to look like a Netflix style documentary every time you create a vlog. And I don't know if he single-handedly changed the game so much that it's just made it so hard for anyone else to start. That bar now is so high, and I don't know whether it was intentional, but he could have been the end of the photography vlog. Now, before I get too far into this video, I just want to say that this isn't a hit piece on Peter. I love Peter's work. He's a big inspiration for me, big reason why I actually started photography, let alone creating content online. So I think Peter has helped create the careers for hundreds of millions of people around the world, just wanting to start photography and start creating anything. I think he has done a lot for a lot of people, but he's also set that bar so high. As I said before, even me coming out here to vlog, it's hard thinking that it's not going to be this big cinematic thing. Like I'm not a proper like filmmaker creating a vlog like this, and it has definitely set the bar high, and it hasn't always been that way. You know, we think back to 2015, so many photography vlogs, so many people coming up. Think about people like Casey Neistat. Was definitely a filmmaker, but his vlogs were definitely more story orientated. He didn't care what he recorded with, still to this day doesn't really care what he records with. It was more about story. And I think when Peter came along, he really changed that overnight almost, to the point where you had to own a high quality camera. You had to be shooting slow-mo B-roll in order to create a video that people would actually click on and watch. It changed the perception of what people actually wanted to watch on YouTube, whether that was intentional or not. Now, is it a good thing? I think, of course, increasing the quality of content out there is always good, but I think it's stopped a lot of people in the tracks of actually starting. I talked about Casey Neistat there. I think he's just an easy example to use as someone that was creating vlogs every day. You know, he was obviously an established filmmaker beforehand, but creating content every day is a different beast to what Peter came along and did, where it was more about the quality of the content than the quantity. I think that's a reflection of what changed there really, is now that the quality has become so high that the quantity's almost gone down to zero. The quantity has to drop when the quality aim is so high, when that bar is so high. And I think what people like Casey and even like Matti Haapoja were doing back in 2016, creating daily vlogs, you couldn't have consistently high quality on every single one of those. And so story had to be important about what you were talking about every single day. Anyone who's been in the photography space for a little while, I'm sure, can remember Peter's video that he released on the 8th of December 2016. 8 camera hacks in 90 seconds. Was that video that blew up? Anyone that's blown up or had a video go viral remembers that one that did really well, and that was the one for him that really took his audience up to the next level. He went from 0 to 1 million subscribers in just under a year, and the rise has been well documented by everyone, and everyone studied it and decided they wanted to be like him. I guess that was the style that worked at the time, and so of course people came along and emulated, but it felt like that style became oversaturated very quickly, in my opinion, to the detriment of photography vlogs that had been there before. Now, yes, the 8 camera hacks in 60 seconds wasn't exactly a vlog, but his vlogs did come thereafter, and he had that audience built up and primed to enjoy his style. All of a sudden it was slow motion B-roll. A lot of people probably hadn't even heard of what B-roll was before. It was just A-roll vlogs before that, people talking to camera just like this. But all of a sudden you needed B-roll, you needed a drone slow motion sequence as an intro. You needed an intro sequence even with a title scene to create a vlog. And all of these things changed and just became the new norm. I think what Peter also did was find a way to make himself look like the most interesting person in the world. I think it's all about having an interesting life when you're trying to compete and sort of burst through, making sure that your life seems interesting to keep people wanting to come back next week and watch. And I think whilst, yes, his life may have been interesting, he did really cool things as a photographer and going traveling all the time, I think it led to a fabrication of other people's lives. As I said before, it trained the audience to want that type of content, and travel content then blew up. It was all about these slow motion vlogs, these really like cinematic vlogs in Iceland, and everyone was going there all the time because they knew that that video would do really well. And I think it became people fabricating lives that they didn't have, and I think that's why it was inevitably unsustainable. Even today myself, I'm out here in Sydney at the moment, and I'm recording this video out here because it's just much more interesting than recording it at home. You know, I could definitely record a vlog in my office, and I have done so before, but they're never as interesting, and you guys don't want to see that every single time. I'm sure I can still provide value, but when it comes to entertainment, it wants to be interesting, but also somewhat entertaining in a cool place. And him being in awesome places all the time, it definitely didn't hurt his vlog and the potential that they had to reach a lot of people that were interested in those places and having the lives that he had. All of a sudden, it wasn't about how to take a good photo. It was about, let's fly to a place where I'm going to be able to get a good photo. Let's go to Iceland because every photo I take there is going to be a banger, and I don't even have to try that hard. So I think it changed the landscape of what people were wanting to document and what people were wanting to teach about. Every time that people try to chase perfection or copy a formula for success, I think it inevitably leads to failure. Everyone starts doing the same thing, and so you're no longer unique. You no longer stand out in that crowd. And I think a lot of people that started after Peter started to realize that when they were just doing what everyone else was doing. I think the one thing that differentiated Peter was his personality, and that was something that no one could emulate. Peter's personality and his humor was just so crazy, and on another level where he was so comfortable in front of the camera. It was as if he was a TV personality of 10, 15 years. He just started vlogging so naturally in a way that no one else really could emulate. And I think that was another big reason for his success. So yes, whilst his style was beautiful, you know, he was able to create very like cinematic videos with not a whole heap of effort, or at least on our end it didn't look like that. He could just talk to camera and he could tell a story within a story. His whole personality was a story, and it was just so captivating that made you just keep wanting to come back in a way that others haven't been able to do. And so while Peter may have accidentally destroyed photography vlogs, I'm hopeful that they might come back. I'm optimistic actually that they may in fact make a return for people like me who really enjoy watching them, but I think the authenticity is important. I think people are crying out for that at the moment, to feel a real sense of connection, something that you don't get off a highlight reel or like a real like cinematic vlog. Just a real raw, down-to-earth, talking to camera video, a real behind the scenes of your real life, a vlog of what actually happens in your week. I think that's so important and something we definitely have lost recently because people just aren't creating those videos. But I think people are crying out for them. If we've seen anything on TikTok and on Instagram about longer videos on there doing really well, where people are just pulling out their phones and recording. You don't need all the gear. I hope I don't have to record on a really heavy camera all the time because I don't have the arms that Peter has. You know, I can't be carrying a camera like this. It's quite heavy. And so hopefully we can just pull out a camera and start recording and documenting our lives again, because I think that was the real golden age. This is so far off topic, but I promise I'll bring it around. So my wife has been watching a lot of vlogs recently. She's been getting into reading, and she watches a lot of vlogs of people reading, other girls reading. And I think the differentiator there between that industry and the photography or videography industry is that we're professional photographers and videographers. We're meant to have all the gear. So the standard is so much higher to create content. It sort of pushes people away. I don't think there's as much content because of that. Like, yes, the people who own the stuff make the content, but they're not always the people that we want to hear from. We want to hear from the people just starting, or the people that have been in it for years and may not have the most up-to-date gear and can't talk about, you know, the ins and outs specs of the brand new camera. We want to talk about people in the industry actually working and doing the work, or the person that's just in high school starting a photography business for the first time. That's who we want to hear from. But we don't always hear because they're so afraid to start because they don't have everything. When you don't see that in other industries, when people, you know, start in the beauty industry, they're happy to create a vlog, they're happy to talk about things that they're doing in their everyday life because it's just them and they're just happy to create. And I think I'd love to see a lot more of that in photography. It's so funny that in this video about vlogging and vlogging being dead, I haven't actually told you at all about my life. I've just created a video about how vlogging is dying. But I'm in Sydney today because I'm going to an event for the launch of the new Nikon Z5 II. I got flown up here by Nikon to come to an event, which is really cool. Not something that I thought would ever happen, but here we are. I'm coming to do a bit of a hands-on demonstration this afternoon and talk to people on the launch day of the camera here in Australia anyway. It's been out for a few weeks, but it's going to actually be here in stores today, which is super exciting. So I'm in Sydney and thought I'd make a little vlog, and I was interested to talk about that because it's been something that's been pretty heavy on my mind. Also, if you're out there and wanting to create something, just do it. Do you think I have any idea what I'm doing? I don't think it really matters. Like, honestly, there has been such a decline in YouTube videos recently, and I think it's quite sad. Every time I open the app or open it on my TV, I've never got anything to watch. I love watching behind the scenes of other people and what they do on a day-to-day. I feel a real sense of connection from that. And so I want more people to do it, even if it is just selfishly for me. I think it's really cool to be able to see more about other people's lives. Stop worrying about not having the personality that other people have. You will connect to your people. It's something that I've found, even being online at all in the smallest capacity, is that, you know, I'm not the most interesting person. I don't have the best way of speaking ever, but just putting myself out there has allowed me to connect with people that are like me, and people who like my style will turn up for me, and other people will turn up for other people. Well, there's enough to go around, and I don't think that should be ever a reason to stop you. I hate to do the YouTube thing, but do let me know down in the comments below. Do you think photography vlogs on YouTube are dead? Do you think they can have a revival? Do you like them? Do you like this style? Do you not like this style? Do you rather more direct to the point explainers, more entertaining content that is more probably cinematic? Let me know. I'm always curious about what people are into, especially of my own audience as well. So if you're here, let me know, because I'm really curious about what I should create as well. I think that being able to put this stuff out there is so important. But also, remember to give this video a like, subscribe as well to make sure you get the next video as well. I've been putting out a bit more content, trying to mix it up a little bit, so stick around to see what I've got coming next. Honestly, I have no idea how people vlog out in public like this. So awkward. Imposter syndrome is real.